You might not be ready to hear what I have to say about Joe Dispenza. This is coming off of a 3-part series I made about Gary Brecka and Joe Dispenza. I've been waiting a little while to talk about Joe because I just have. It just wasn't important. Because the time is now and the energy has shifted and the winds of change are blowing, y'all. First, I need to preface that I have never been drawn to any of Joe's work, and it wasn't that, or Dolores Cannon for that matter. I'm sharing with you what I see and also how it correlates to the 1,000+ sessions that I've had in terms of patterns. My initial hit with Joe is that he made an agreement early on, and that in some way that agreement required him to have a big audience because these beings needed energy. When I see miraculous healings like this, or healings where you break 6 vertebrae and then all of a sudden within 12 weeks you're walking again, I get a little bit suspicious. I'm very curious about what happened at spirit level. Absolutely not saying that that's not possible, but I'm like, something feels really fishy over here, Mr. Joe. So it turns out he said, I made a deal with myself that if I ever was able to walk again, I would spend the rest of my life studying the mind-body connection. And that's what I've been doing ever since. Okay. Except you don't make a deal with yourself. Your highest self makes a deal with you. In fact, your highest self tells you exactly what your purpose is and exactly what you are to do, provided that you are on path. What I'm interested in learning is why that accident even happened in the first place. Because he runs self-sacrifice and martyr with a little bit of cult frequency in there, he needed to go through something like that in order to see that these things were possible. But really, he needed to go through that because the agreement is exchange pattern. You're going to give me this in exchange for this. This type of languaging is used all throughout cults. I know that because I just finished writing a huge chapter about it in my book. Cults use extreme belief, manipulation, perfectionism, and self-doubt in their messaging. It would also make sense that he came from Ramtha's School of Enlightenment, a New Age spiritual sect in Yelm, Washington, and this leader turned out to be a total cult. I've also heard Joe say that he's claimed to heal people. He said, and this was in interviews, that he healed somebody from Parkinson's, that somebody at his conference stood up from a wheelchair, that he was able to heal so-and-so. When you are explicitly using that language, that's my red flag because it creates a hierarchy. These people can't create on their own without you being in the field with them to create that possibility. Perhaps that's just a kickstart, which is also fine. I mean, his team does a really good job of scrubbing lawsuits, but this one is still active. I really hope that people start referencing this gentleman from 1957 who created epigenetics. I also hope we start giving credit where credit is due to this PhD from Stanford, Carla Schatz, who has literally done groundbreaking work and for the longest time has been saying neurons that fire together wire together well before our friend Joe did, which is fine. People get inspired by other people. I'm just saying. In short, I think Joe made an agreement a long time ago that he was going to be able to have a level of influence in exchange to be able to walk again. I think that's why he has the scale that he has. And I think that's how he is somehow protected to the way that he is. But I think all of that is changing right now because anything that is mischievous or not of the highest level truth is just being dismantled right now. And that includes people, places, things, all of it. I think Joe has to clean up a little bit right now. That's why he looks so tired. Because when you're constantly hosting retreat after retreat after retreat and you can't stop and you have all of these other beings coming in to help you out to reprogram people and you don't have a handle on the field, you're going to get rocked. And it's looking real messy over there. I will leave you with this in that I think Joe does a good job at synthesizing information. I think he's made digestible, bite-sized, little package nuggets that has helped people to some degree change their lives. I'm all for it. If your life is awesome, mazel. But if you've claimed to scan 18,000 brains and have 10,000 heart rate measurements from participants, but there's only like 4 links under your research, news, and updates section on your website, I'm a little sus. With all that said, I'm the first person to say, if you've watched my videos and you see the ones that are pinned, like, I didn't want to do this. My highest self was like, baby, it's time. You give up your free will for divine will. This is part of your soul contract. It's time to go. And I'm like, ugh. And of course, now I love it, but I'm the first person to also say, like, what I do is fucking insane. So be sus. Question everything. Try it out, feel what works for you, and keep it moving. Because all of this is really just one big game. We're all characters, and this is all for our own entertainment. But you don't need anybody else but your higher self. A little knowledge and some follow through. You're gonna need a little bit more than thinking positively too. You're gonna need some connection, some community, and some inspired action. You're gonna need to dig in deep and face some very hard truths about yourself. And you're gonna have to be willing to like do it anyway without any guarantee. That's when shit gets really exciting and gets really fun. Who should I do next?